Best Actress Academy Award nominee and Golden Globe winner Sally Kirkland was born in New York City, the daughter of the editor of Vogue magazine. Sally grew up in a life surrounded by the world's most glamorous people, and at her mother's encouragement, modeled for celebrity photographers, including none other than Andy Warhol. She became an actress in the wild heyday of the revolutionary 60s and was immediately noticed for her incredible talent and courage. Working with some of the day's most provocative playwrights, and breaking ground as the first woman to ever appear completely nude on stage in American theater. She studied with Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio and headed to Hollywood and made history.
Since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be doing this. And so now I'm not 8 years old anymore, but I'm doing it. This is Bob Mackey. What do you think? Happy Dumpty sat on the wall.
Shout it at us.
Happy Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men could not put Humpty together again.
That's very, very good. Now, can we do this with a little more energy?
Been that way since I brought her in.
No!
You could phone it, Lee. CDHQ America calling. Thank you.
Phone where? You only got 11 jobs.
Applications are available at your local post office.
American Civil Friendship Benefit. Town Hall.
American Oh, Jesus, I'm late for the OWI. Yeah. Okay. See you later, Pony.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm right here, darling. There's no need to shout. That's not how you were brought up.
Mom, what are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to my home. I really do not need to relive this on national television. I am your mother. Small potatoes. Small potatoes. You remember Al?
Darling, I never told this to a soul, but I knew you were gay when you were a little boy. You didn't enjoy sports like the other boys.
I liked sports.
Well, let's say you liked reading more.
Did you hear that out there? How he does 4 beats and
Bring
my
in 3.
goddamn routine. Now, how long am I gonna put up with that?
Crystal! Leonard, you're on.
You want to get out of here tonight or come into some dough?
Oh, I can't. I got a 10 o'clock show. I need the $5.
I'll spend 50 on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee?
Yeah. Coffee, yeah.
We have a special on soup today.
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you.
It's tomato. I made it myself. Okay. Comment se dice aqua mineral? How you doing, cowboy?
I'm not a cowboy.
You want to light my cigarette? Sorry, I'm just trying to make polite conversation.
Shy thing, aren't you?
Shy, me? Shy is something I have never been accused of. We just wanted to have a couple drinks and watch the passing scene out your front window.
You drink up, I don't want your business too bad.
We'd really like to stay a little bit longer. Is there anything I can do to make up for my nephew?
Stop it. Yeah, you can pay for those fellas' drinks.
It's a deal. We can stay longer then, right?
That's right.
Got yourself a deal. How much?
$410.
Good God, when did they start drinking?
April.
Yeah!
Hello? Is anybody here?
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and the hour of our death. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace.
What are you, crazy? Are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea what just happened in there? You're never gonna work again on it. Is that what you want? Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Real, raw, and breathtaking. She's an Oscar nominee, a Golden Globe Award winner, Independent Spirit Award winner, LA Film Critics Award winner. She was a child model at 10 and at 17 studied with Uta Hagen and then with Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. She has done over 200 films. Sally Kirkland. Hello, Sally.
Hi, David. You're a singer too, huh?
How could you tell?
Because you have vibrato in your voice.
Oh, thank you. I do sing. I used to sing, in temple with my dad a lot. He would be on the
nice.
side. And it was great during Passover too, because my brother has, and we would, we could have made an album, but we never did.
Uh-huh.
How about you? What brings you the most joy in life?
Well, my ministry, being an ordained minister in the Church of the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, which I've been doing since 1976, and traveling wide and far, and giving spiritual seminars all over the world, and marrying people, bearing people, blessing people. Nowadays, for the past year, Reverend Sally Kirkland Share a Spirit is on my live stream every day on Facebook.
Yes.
And because I was pronounced dead in 66, and I experienced a life after life experience, I was real clear that I wanted to help people, that it was great being an actress, but it was so kind of about me. And I wanted to really help people, heal people. And so, yeah, of course, it's been extraordinary, 61 years now acting. But my ministry, which is, 47 or so years, has been my real heart and soul.
What I have to say, I want to thank you for that. Number one, thank you for being on this show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. And thank you for your ministry, because I have been turning in now and then through, especially the last year during the pandemic, and it's very healing.
Yeah.
Very healing. And that is one of the reasons that I wanted to connect with you, beside just being an actress, because you are so full and such a well-rounded person. I mean, how did you get to this point, do you feel? How did you get to this point where you said, you know what, I have to explore all these parts of myself?
Well, when I was a little kid, I learned mathematics, English, all of those subjects in a church house. It was called the Church of the Resurrection. And every morning we went into the church and we knelt down at the pew, and there was Jesus on the cross, and Mary, and on the corner, St. Francis. And I would light my candle, And the whole ritual really excited me. And that was a high Episcopalian church, which later became Catholic. And I sang in the choir. I sang alto. I loved to harmonize. All through pre-high school and then high school. But then when I was 10, I went to a place called the Valley Drama Camp.
Right.
And it was a drama camp for kids. And I got bitten by the bug. And then as I went to all girls schools. And as I went through pre-high school and high school, I was the president of the drama club always. And I played all men because I'm 5'9". And so I would lower my voice and I would be men. And that helped my acting a lot because it gave me strength and tremendous amount of presence and projection. And oh my God, when I was 18 and I went to or 17, 18, went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts for a year. And because I was so tall, they made me the grandmother all the time. I couldn't be an ingenue. And ironically, I met David O. Selznick that year because I had gone to the Spoleto International Film Festival and met Michael Walker, his stepson, with Jennifer Jones, and had an extraordinary time being directed by Jerome Robbins in a ballet called The Last Night, where the Ballets USA company danced and myself and Paul Sand mimed, and then was the leader of the chorus, and Michael Kakianis' The Trojan Women.
Yeah. Oh.
Claire Bloom, Arthur Kennedy, and Rod Steiger, and I was the leader of the chorus.
Yeah.
And the best Greek orchestra leader was playing all of his drums and orchestra underneath me, and I was bellowing out these lines. And I had studied Shakespeare earlier, so I knew how to be poetic and project. And then I got to direct Michael Walker, Jennifer and David's son, in Adventures in the Skin Trade, and with myself. And so when we got back to New York, he brought me to meet David O. Selznick and Jennifer Jones, and David became my mentor. And he said, Sally, you will never be an ingenue. You're too tall. Sally, you will have a tough time being a leading lady because you're too tall and you're too pretty and you're too smart and you will scare men to death. And Sally, if you hang in there, you're going to be a star when you're middle-aged and older. By then you won't threaten men. That was David O. Selznick.
To hear this coming out of your mouth, because of course I read all about you. I've seen your many of your films. I mean, and what's so powerful for me, you know, we all connect to pieces in different ways, but even the title of Anna, that was my grandmother's name. So it was, it has so much meaning. Now, I know you're an actress, as well as a teacher, an acting teacher. And we have over 100 students from Performing Arts Studio West here today, as well as the Meet the Biz and YouTube. You were and you are so open. I mean, watching your performances, they're so, like I said at the beginning, real, raw, breathtaking. You're so in the moment, you flow. You're an emotional amoeba, if you could say. When an actor comes up to you and says, how do I open up? How do I achieve that emotionality? How would you guide them?
Oh gosh, I'm very big on emotional recall, which is method acting, which I learned from Lee Strasberg. And when I was young, you're way too young to remember these people, but when I was young, in the 50s, I would go to Broadway and see Kim Stanley on stage and Geraldine Page on stage, and the tears would be streaming down my face. And one time I walked out of the theater after Kim Stanley and almost got killed by a taxi cab because I was out of my body. She had taken me out of my body.
Yeah.
And I thought, I want to do that. I want to take people on an emotional journey And so I learned that an emotional recall, you go back in your life. Now, if you're very young, which I was at the time, there wasn't that long a life, but my life was very, very emotional. My parents were alcoholics, and there was tremendous, there was a lot of sadness when I was a kid. And my mother was Sally Kirkland, fashion editor of Vogue magazine and fashion editor of Life magazine. And I would go to the kitchen and there would be the top models in the world, Verushka, Jean Shrimpton. I would want to go back to bed. How was I going to compete with all this extraordinary beauty? And they were skinny.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God. And my mother was skinny. So when I was a kid, I never felt that I was, good enough. I had an inferiority complex. But when I acted, I could hide behind these characters. And with the emotional recall, I could use all of the trauma of my father and my mother, mostly my father. And the tears would come. And I would say to a young actress, okay, close your eyes. And if it's your father, bring your father present and do the sensory work. Smell him, hear him, see him, touch him, and then hear words where he made you very angry or incredibly sad, so that the anger and the vulnerability all came together. And I did this with Barbara Streisand when she wanted to
On the way we were.
she wanted to learn how to cry on cue. She had come to the actor's studio and seen me and Salome Jens do Chekhov. And she apparently cried with me crying, playing Sonia. And afterwards she said, oh, Sally, would you ask Mr. Strasberg if I can possibly work with you here? Well, I went to Lee and he about died. He was like shell shocked that Barbara Streisand wanted to learn method acting and all that, and with him. And he said, of course, Barbara, and what would you like to do? And she said, Romeo and Juliet. Now, at the time, this was the 70s. So I figured that we're the same age. So we must have been in our 30s. But she wanted to play Juliet. And Lee looked at me and said, well, you can't play Romeo, so you'll be the nurse, but don't worry about the age, just worry about the relationship. And so we went to her place in Carrollwood in Bel Air. And I said what I just said to you, David. I said, who has the most emotion for you in your life? And she said, my dad's death. And I said, okay, close your eyes and bring your father present and somehow hear him talking to you and see him and touch him. And then I want you to forgive him for dying and forgive yourself for judging yourself, for being hurt and angry that he died when you were so young. So she went through this whole thing, and pretty soon the tears were coming down. And then I said, open your eyes. And then I gave her Romeo and Juliet, the script. And I said, now do the monologue about Romeo with those same tears, with all of your love and your fear that you'll never see him again. And she did it. And she did it on stage at the Actors Studio. And Lee Strasberg actually said, that's the best Juliet I've ever seen. And when she did her Playboy interview, she said that was her favorite moment in her career.
Wow.
So that's one thing I would teach an actor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
And now here's the next thing. Let's say an actor gets to that point of emotionality and they're afraid that they can't stop it. How do you, okay, I'm done with this. How do I cleanse myself from it?
Well, I started, It's an interesting question. When I was in my early 20s, I had a nervous breakdown. because I couldn't stop it, because I went so deep. I went so deep. I played Jackie Kennedy in a play called Fitz and Biscuit with Sam Waterston playing Jack. And in this play, she wanted to throw herself off the sailboat named Fitz because she didn't want to share Jack with the world. And she was so afraid about sharing him with the world. And she put the rope around her neck and he stopped her, but she had a suicidal urge. And I did the play at the Actors Studio for 3 months, and Jackie came to see it. She was best friends with my mother, the fashion editor who kept putting her on the cover of Life. And Jackie hugged me, and there were tears in her eyes. And she said, "Thank you so much. You captured what I was going through." And then when we went to do it off Broadway at Circle in the Square in New York, the director, Frank Casero, suddenly said to me, "Okay, you've been wearing stretch pants and a stretch top and everything," because so much of it was mime. We didn't have any props or sets. We made the sails with our hands. We did everything with mime. And then he suddenly said, "I want you to wear white duck pants." And I said, "Are you sure? I won't be able to move and do all of the athletic stuff I do." And he said, "Yes, I'm sure." So opening night, as you would have it, I wore the white duck pants and I sprained my ankle, but I didn't want the audience to know. So I just did what I could, holding in the pain. And I got stuck. I couldn't emote because I couldn't move in the duck pants because I had done 3 months of being in the stretch pants.
Right.
Oh my God, it was awful. My performance was awful. It was just Johnny One Note because I was in a lot of physical pain and I couldn't do what all I was free to do. And afterwards, Frank said, "Sally, what happened to you?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, you put me in these duck pants and I couldn't move around and I sprained my ankle or twisted my ankle." Anyway, we closed in one night, and the combination of that was the first time I had my name on the marquee, and I was starring in the New York Times and all that. We closed in one night, and I blamed myself. And I was in love with Rip Torn, who had told me he was legally separated from Geraldine Page, and he wasn't. And that was my first big love. And the combination, I had a nervous breakdown, and I took 50 sleeping pills and 50 codeine. And it's too long a story to tell on your show, but I ended up being pronounced dead, having tried to jump off a 13-story ledge. And
this was in what year?
1966, I was 23. And when I woke up in a hospital in Harlem, because I expired on the street on Fifth Avenue in front of Jackie Kennedy's building, 45th Avenue, the doctor said to me, "Who was Betty?" Well, I couldn't talk because there was a tracheotomy here and tubes in my wrists, my ankles, and I couldn't talk, but I wrote, "Betty loved me more than anybody." And he said, "Well, you should thank Betty. She saved your life." And apparently Betty had a dream I was dying and found out from Andre Gregory, my dinner with Andre, that I totally tried to kill myself. And she didn't know where I was, but she went to every hospital, found me, and they wouldn't let her in. And she climbed up the fire escape at night, climbed into the window, talked the intern into letting her go in my room, and screamed and yelled at me. How could I do this to her and all of my friends? And that's apparently what got me out of this coma. And what was your question?
Well,
I know. Okay. You asked me, did I ever get stuck? So when I came out, I had a life after life experience with Christ. And on my way to killing myself, I went to that same church as I went as a kid. And I said, "Jesus, if you exist, I want a miracle. And if you don't exist, I want out of here."
Yeah.
I don't want to go through human pain anymore. And so the doctor said, this is a miracle. We've never seen anything like this in this hospital. You were supposed to be a complete vegetable. We told your parents to pray you would completely die because your brain was vegetable.
Right.
So the
Well-
story is longer, but that's it.
Well, number one, thank God that you're still here, and you had all those years after that to share yourself and for others to share with you, because you are a glowing healer. And
thank you.
I'm wondering what at that point when you finally came back, there must have been some strength in you, an extra different kind of strength.
I was a different person entirely. My consciousness had changed into a spiritual consciousness. And the first thing when I first woke up was, I don't want to be an actress. I want to be a nurse. I want to go to London and study at the Florence Nightingale Hospital. How I knew about that, I don't know. Yeah. So in 1968, I read Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yeah.
By Yogananda. And then I was searching for my master, my physical spiritual master. Much as I love Jesus Christ, I wanted somebody human that I could be with. And
now I have a question in regards to all of this. So first of all, how do, without having to take those drugs, if you're in an emotional state, you don't want to go through that road, because that could,
no.
How do you get to an emotional state
as
an actor, but how do you get out of it? How do you, is there an exercise, is there a breath or something that you do to say, okay, that is part of me, but it's okay. I just used it for my art, and then I'm now here. I'm now powerful. I know. Is there something you do?
Well, you're talking about back then or now?
Well, I mean, for, let's say, as another student in the class here says, I'm so emotional and I can't get out of it. How do I get out of it? I just thought about my dad passing and I can't get out of it. How do you get out of it?
Then you, David, teacher, would be logical. You think, rather than thinking about him passing, think about all the beautiful moments you had with him in your life, and just see him having fun and laughing with you, and let all the joy of that come in, rather than dwelling on the sad moment. And breathing is important, and just switching the gears. I mean, De Niro and I, back in '67, way before the world knew him, we used to do scenes at the Actors Studio together, and he would be practically choking me. And I would be screaming. Lee actually said, if you put these two actors together, you would have the perfect actor. Bobby didn't like that. He did not like that at all. But Lee went on to say, Bobby is the perfect. When Stanislavski wrote the book, Building a Character, Bobby is that. He knows how to build a character over and over and over again, and he never repeats himself. I mean, he does a different character. He changes the clothes, he changes the voice, he changes the way he walks. Sally is the most vulnerable person I've ever seen. If you put these two people together, you have the perfect actor. That's what Lee said back in the 70s. Now, Bobby didn't like that, but I was thrilled. And as I've learned over the years, it was 1968, like I told you, Yogananda, then came Swami Satchidananda. He initiated me. He named me Satya. I said, why did you name me Satya? He said, read up on Gandhi and the Satyagrahas, which are the truth forces. All those men dropped their guns because the force of love coming at them and the force of truth. And then Satchidananda led me to Satya Sai Baba in India, who led me to John Roger, my teacher of 50 years, and who ordained me. And so I've been meditating since 1968. And that is so much a part of my acting. Before I act, I meditate. After I act, coming out of it, I meditate. I mean, I completely use my soul, my spirit, to go into each character, even if I'm a killer.
Yeah.
I've a lot of killers in my career. I just go to that place where I'm with God, and sometimes I use a lot of music. You know, Bob Dylan was my boyfriend a lot in my life. I use his music. It tunes me into a place that's very deep, and